Rays of Light. That's going to be the new name that I decided to go ahead and call all of my soul family out there. So Rays of Light, welcome to another episode of Tea with Spirit Show. I am your host, psychic medium Raymond Guzman, and today is going to be epic. We are going to talk about answer different questions from viewers all over the world, and I'm going to start with my new question, my most recent question. This is coming from a viewer, and the viewer's name is Anonymous, and she says, "Hi Raymond, I love your channel. A recent subscriber here. Well, thank you so much." She says, "I wanted to get clarification on why I have had so many close family members turn on me lately." Okay, so Anonymous, this is going to be a question that I think a lot of my viewers out here, all of you Rays of Light, would be able to really comprehend and really understand, because you may be going through that, or you've gone through it at some point in your life. What I see for you, Anonymous, is that the reason that they have turned on you is because there is some dysfunction in your family, with your family members, these family members in particular, where they are not rooted in their spirituality and their spiritual faith. I get they are all on different wavelengths, and a lot of the energy is very oppressive that's coming through, very vindictive in some ways. I just get that they're set in their own beliefs, and they feel like they're right in their decision making. So it's not just you that they've turned on. You know, they've turned, even what I'm getting from spirit, even amongst them, each other, you know, they have really have turned on each other at certain times or at certain points in their life, whether you know this or not. I also feel like they've had, you know, these same type of moods, or how they've treated people. You know, it's been happening to people around them since, you know, many years ago, like their friendships, people in their workplaces. Oddly enough, there's something coming in about money. So I don't know if there's a lot of greed between these family members and yourself. Maybe you're doing a little bit better spiritually, like I feel you are, and they are not. But I do get that there's something about money, something on the way that they view you. They're trying to kind of isolate you and keep you away from knowing too much of what they are wanting or to do, or what they're needing to do on their side. You know, they feel like maybe you are a problem in some ways, and it's not. That's just their perception of them. I see a lot in the next couple of months, a lot of disruption when it comes to your family, these family members, but I see them coming around eventually. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. But you know, the best thing that you can do is not try to understand them. That's not your The best advice I can give you, and the best tea from spirit, it's not your responsibility to care about what other people think about you, even if these are family members. First and foremost, you can only control yourself. You don't have control over anyone else. And so, you know, I would say just isolate yourself from them as much as possible. If they want to be a part of your life and make an attempt, well, so be it. But, you know, if you can avoid them, I would definitely avoid them and make them miss you and wonder what is going on. You know, they know, you know, they're not dumb. They're not oblivious to the fact of how they're treating you. I do feel like they get some kind of jollies out of this in some way. For you, you feel very alone at this time. You feel very isolated away from your family members. But the best thing that you can do is just continue to live out your life the way that you intend to, and not worry about what they are talking about you behind your back, what they are saying, or how they, you know, they treat you. It's kind of hard if you're living close, you know, with them, or, you know, you can't avoid them. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of this is going to ease up slowly, and in time, you know, sometime this year, in fact, you know, I feel like you're going to make amends, at least with one of the females that this is happening with, you know. So just stay positive. So thank you so much for writing into the show. This is the Tea with Spirit, and that was our first viewer. So let's get into the next viewer's question. All right, our next question is coming from viewer LE, and LE says, "I would like to be known as LE. First, I want to say thank you for sharing your Gifts with the world. I've been listening to your video for about a month now, and everything has been on point. Well, these past few years, my life has been falling apart, but I managed to keep it together. But Christmas 2018, everything changed. My child got sick and was in the hospital, and I still managed to keep my life together. After that, my son got well, and I returned back to work, only to find out that I had been replaced at my job. And then I started having trouble in my marriage. I am at the point in my life where I'm still trying to find myself. My question is, where do I begin to put my life back together, or what is next, my next move to get my life back on track? Thank you. And this is coming from LE. Well, thank you so much for that question. I know this is so many recent events that happened to you in such a short period of time, because we were barely in March, in the third month of the year, and it just started. All of this started in December. But what I'm going to get into immediately for you is to say that the universe kind of helped you. When we lose a job, we get fired, or we're terminated, or we leave, or we have to resign, or they close down, there's layoffs. There's always a reason, and the reason for this in most cases is that your time there has been served. You have helped these people. When we work at a place where we have an employer, we tend to do a job for them and get paid, yes, but we are helping them. If their company would not exist if we are not there helping them. So for you've played your role in this place. This place was not the best place to work at to begin with. The energy is not good. I also feel like you had a lot of disconnect prior to you finding out that you had been replaced, meaning that you had taken a lot of days off. Maybe you didn't show up to work at certain times, or you called in. So, there are things that employers are going to be looking at and have these things as kind of like piled up as excuses to let you go or to replace you. So they are, Spirit is saying and communicating that you were, maybe not complying with their attendance policy, or, you had some times that you were in and out, so they were looking at this. But I also feel like there was a lot of volatile energy and a lot of scrutiny with your work ethic and your performance. Even though you may have been good at it, some of these people that are in these positions, it's easier for them to kind of eliminate someone and get someone else and pay them at a cheaper rate, at a cheaper price. Whatever you were making per hour, they may be getting paid less than what you are, especially if the company is not doing well, which I really feel like in some ways they may not be doing very well financially. But in your case, what is going to happen is that I see that there's a turning point. You are going to come out on top of all of this, but it's not going to be anytime soon. Keeping it real here and just going to be very, very honest. I feel like you need this time to kind of recollect yourself, and a part of you has wanted to rest, but Spirit is pushing you back into the workforce. So if you haven't already found a job, Spirit is saying that you are going to find it, but there is a certain level of deception at the next place that you'll work at. So like the issues are going to continue to occur in your jobs. You will need to find a job that allows you to do what you like, or what you are capable of. But I feel like this is somehow in customer service, in retail. I feel like it's not going to be like in an office environment. What I'm getting from Spirit. But there is a younger energy that does work there that is a little immature, something to watch out for. But I do feel like with your husband and those things that are happening within the family, it's going to definitely get better. And you are going to get that sense of, having some normality back in your life. But all of these changes had to happen so that way you could kind of, get back on track. I feel like that job was holding you back in many ways, and you weren't allowed to really see things from a clear perspective, because when you're constantly working, you're just focused on that. You're not focused on other important things, your spirituality, your mental and spiritual well-being. And some people can balance it out, but for you have too many things that are going on in your life right now. And I do feel like you're at an age where you just, you're not going to beg anyone. You're not going to work for an employee, you keep it real. And a lot of these, like this person that was your employer, that company, I feel like a lot of them that worked there, they didn't like the fact that you were very outspoken and really spoke out. So I wouldn't think back or look back or even worry about it. You're going to be fine. Things will definitely get back to normal, but you have to go through this to kind of understand where your life is right now and where you want to go. I wouldn't feel bad, because you were replaced, even though I know that's easier than said, than done. Um, but again, the reason for this is because Spirit is saying that you had to get out of that place. That place was going to hold you back spiritually and not allow you to open yourself further to the gift of Spirit and your own spiritual abilities. And plus, it was not going to help you find happiness, because you weren't happy at that job, and you know that you weren't happy either. So, all of this, everything that happens to us happens for a reason. There's a rhyme and a reason. I always say there's no such thing as a coincidence. And so those of you out there that have been laid off, I've been laid off from a job in the past. People that have been fired, it's not easy starting over. It's almost like uprooting yourself from what you know. And it's scary. But do not fear, because Spirit is around you. The universe is protecting you, and you are going to get ahead. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in and for submitting your question to me, LE. This was the T from Spirit. All right, let's get into the next question. This will be our third question. All right, our next question, which is our third question for the show, is coming from Anonymous, and she's saying, I have a question. I recently told my husband I was unfaithful before we were married. I still have daily guilt over this. He says he forgives me, but my guilt is causing depression and driving a wedge. Are we going to make it through? All right, so for Anonymous, thank you so much for submitting this. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. First and foremost, you shouldn't feel guilty if this happened before you were married. However, if you didn't, express this to your partner, I can understand why you feel guilty about this. The thing here to realize is that you are an empath. So these emotions that you're feeling is not so much guilt from you, but it's actually you're picking up on what he feels. So even though he may not say anything about it, or he doesn't want to talk about it, on a deep level, it does bother him. And I do feel like this is what you're picking up as an empath. You're picking up on his vibration and his energy. Regarding your marriage and where it's at right now, it is at a critical point. I'm not going to, sugarcoat this. I never do. I do see you both at a crossroads, and you're having to make a decision here. A part of you is very nurturing in this relationship and very giving, but you feel like you are not able to give yourself entirely to this relationship because there's so much going on. There's also something about money. Either money is not, your finances are not the best right now in this marriage, and perhaps you feel like there could be more that you could do or contribute as well. I also get there's a lot of bickering back and forth between you both, a lot of discussions, and again, you feeling judged coming out of this, like feeling like you're judged, you're feeling bad about it. And the only way to let this go is to seek some help. I feel like you would definitely benefit from couples counseling. This is not so much a spiritual in nature, but more so something that needs to be addressed by a professional to kind of get y'all to talk about things that you are repressing. For you, you're repressing the fact that you went through this experience on many ways and many levels, and you're repressing that your ability to be happy. You're holding that back because of the fact of what happened, and that's playing over and over in the forefront of your mind. For your husband, for him, what he's replaying is that, what other secrets could she be holding from me? If she didn't tell me this before marriage and I found out afterwards, what else could she be holding back? Could she have cheated on me? So I feel like in some ways he has thought about this, or this has been something in his mind. Could you possibly cheat on him? Would you possibly leave him? Are you thinking of another man in so many ways? Are you still feeling connected to that guy that you cheated, that you saw, or that you had, something with before your marriage. So again, I feel like you also are needing to come to the realization that you may be suppressing that, some feelings that you still have for that person. Why you are feeling guilty could be that you aren't necessarily, you are feeling something on a very deep level for that guy. And again, these are things that are need to be discussed. You can kind of work on it on a spiritual level. I feel like you've done that. You've come to the realization that there's a problem. Admitting that there's a problem is not in denial. That's the first step to fixing a situation. You are obviously communicating with him, and he's communicating with you to a certain point, but there's still things that y'all are not telling each other about this whole thing and how you feel. You feel like you're not worthy to be with him, and you may feel at a certain point that this marriage is no longer gonna work out. I do see here that everything is going to work out in your favor. So yes, you are going to make it through this. I feel like this bond is meant to be. It's divinely orchestrated. You are meant to be together, and I do feel there is a reconciliation, or you getting past all of this. But definitely, if he won't, or you don't want to go through couples counseling, you can do things to have more open dialogue. Take a vacation, surprise them, do something that's romantic, surprise them, kind of bringing the magic back into the relationship. And I think that's what a lot of couples, it's kind of like when two people get together and it's like they first met, they're dating, and they've first met each other. You will glam yourself up, get your hair did, get your fingernails, your nails, your pedicure, your manicure, put on your favorite Chanel perfume, or Yves Saint Laurent. And you'll put your makeup on and look all sexy and pretty for your significant other, and they in turn have their hair real sleek, well groomed, cologne on. And these are the things that I think a lot of couples out there that are listening to this, or people that are married or have been in relationships, that have felt, is that sometimes after a while, that you're together, things start falling apart. People stop caring because life is so busy. You don't put the same interest because you're not really trying to impress that person, because you still have them there. But you still have to remember that, what you fell in love with, was it so much their image and how they dressed, or did you fall in love with a person for their beautiful heart? But at the same time, you still need to kind of do things at a certain way to spice up your love life, and make that person remember why they chose you, for that reason. It wasn't maybe so much because of the cologne or perfume that you were wearing, or the dress that you were wearing, or heels, but you want to still kind of keep things fresh in a relationship. And I feel like this is going to be what you and him will need to do, whether it's like planning a vacation together. But for you do need to let it go. You need to let it go, and don't feel any more guilt from this, and try to work with your, through prayer and meditation, and even writing a letter down, and expressing everything that you could say to your husband, and then burning it, and then throwing it, or tearing it up into pieces and throwing it outside. That's a way to kind of release all of this that's kind of in you. But I do see that there is hope, and things can be fixed in this marriage. So that's the tea from Spirit. I want to thank you so much. And again, that is coming from my viewer, who is anonymous. So thank you so much. All right, our next question is coming from viewer Optimistic. Optimistic says, Ray, first and foremost, thank you for being a guiding light for your soul family. Through your videos, having your channel recommended to me last year was one of the best things that has ever happened to me in 2018. Blessings to you, sweet soul. Well, thank you so much, and blessings to you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. She says, Ray, I have felt compelled for some time to write a children's book. I work with children by profession, and I have a pure joy in doing so. I'm wondering if self-publishing is worth my finances. Would writing children's books be successful for me? I often get into projects and lack the confidence to bring them into fruition. Also, being in the teaching profession often has me financially barely being able to survive, especially living in expensive California. Could writing bring me more income, or would publishing a book be for a hobby? Again, peace and blessings to you and your family. Will be just thank you so much, Ray. Hugs and loves to you. Signed, Optimistic. Well, blessings and angel hugs to you, Optimistic. Thank you so much. I love your energy, and I love everything that you stand for and what you're doing. As a fellow writer and author myself, I can tell you there's certain things that you, in order to kind of be successful, you don't have to be the New York, or the New York bestsellers, author, number one author on the New York Billboard, or, be, a renowned author around the world to be successful. Everyone has their own level of success, but the question is for you, what type of level of success are you wanting realistically to achieve? That's the first question that you should ask yourself regarding where you're wanting to go with this. For you, I don't feel like you want to be really famous. This is not about fame like most famous self-publishing authors, or most authors that go through a publishing company would be. For you, I feel like you just want to create an awareness, and you want to help children, and you want to help parents with your books, and where they're geared towards your audience. So being that you are already in the world of teaching, you have a platform and you have a lot of connections. I do feel like you would definitely be successful either route that you go with. I definitely feel like you will benefit from going on a self-publishing route, because self-publishing route, many times you can definitely, once you go through a self-publishing company, you can adjust, your prices for the books, and you can promote them, and they do get out, they do a lot of the hard work for you. If you go through a publishing company, it is going to be a lot of royalties taken out from your earnings. So whatever you sell, you're going to earn less. And I feel like for you, you could use the supplemental income, from this, from your writing. For those of you that are out there that are listening and are looking to write a book, I can tell you from experience that I had to put a lot of my net profit, my net worth, my expenses. It's expensive to write a book, and first and foremost, regardless, if you want to have a quality book and you are looking to get it published, there is a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that is involved in the creative process of this. You have to write your book first, have a manuscript. You have to work with an editor to kind of edit your book, unless you're an editor yourself or grammatically, well versed in that area. So you have to reach out to an editor to edit your book. You're looking at $1,000, $2,000. That's on the cheap end, but depending, you could be range even more than that. Then you have to get a book cover illustrator. Hopefully that person can also do the interior design of your book. So you're not only paying for your book manuscript to be edited, but you're also paying for your book design cover. You're the illustrator for the book design cover, and you're paying for the interior design. When you do decide to go that route, because I feel like you are going to go through the self-publishing route, and for all of you out there that are planning on writing a book as well, be sure to ask for the license and the ownership of that image, and of course you will have to credit it, on the book cover. That they will usually, the illustrator will put their name on there, somewhere, either in the interior of your book or on the outside. But I'm sorry I'm explaining all of this, because I feel like a lot of people, I need to explain this, I feel like, because a lot of people out there that are listening and wanting to self-publish a book, to understand, is it going to be beneficial? But you hear that term often. You have to spend a little to make a little, and it's definitely worth the profit at the end result. When I did my book, it cost a pretty penny out of pocket expenses. So all of my earnings from, reading people, etc., I had to use a huge chunk of that, equity or whatever you want to call it, towards funding my book. And being that I have a platform already on Instagram and on Facebook and through different social media outlets, that and YouTube, it helped me kind of promote my book, and I didn't have to do work as twice as hard as some people. I also am my own marketing team, so I'm pretty well versed in marketing, and I had to do a lot of my marketing on Facebook and run some ads that run simultaneously on Facebook and Instagram. So these are the techniques that you don't usually hear that from a lot of authors that are successful, or they will, they'll want you to pay a certain fee to attend a seminar, or to look at a self-development video for becoming an author. But these are the things that I freely share with you guys out there, my rays of light, because I feel like y'all will benefit from this. But it's a whole process, and optimistic, it's well worth it at the end, I can tell you. And the very end, as long as and I'm the type of person that I'm a Gemini, so it's in my nature to kind of be a perfectionist, even though that's not possible. No one can be perfect. And I had a lot of going back and forth. It's going to drive you to the point, like, I had finished my book sometime in the month of April, but it took me until the end of June, or the end of July of 2018 to get it the way that I wanted it. So there was a lot of emails back and forth, and for a moment I thought, that my illustrator and my book interior designer was going to just give up on the project, because I was constantly going back and forth. But I had a guy out of Greece that did this, and he was amazing, and he is credited in my book Starseed Footsteps. For those of you that haven't picked up a copy of it, be sure to pick it up. He's an amazing. He's the one that did the exterior of my book cover, and I was involved in the whole entire creative process. I told him exactly what I envisioned, how I wanted the book cover illustrated, and he brought it to life. And then, the way that you see the colors on the front of my book, Starseed Footsteps, it is in a rainbow font. I wanted it to be in a rainbow font because I feel like, who I am, it represents who I am, and it also represents unity, all walks of life. No matter what color you are, no matter where you are, we are like the rainbow in many ways, and that is a message of unity. So it was very important for me to give it that pop of color in the beginning of of the whole process. So for you, I feel like me explaining this to you and explaining it to the audience, my rays of light out there that are listening in, it's very important, because through this you will be able to get a better understanding and really be able to focus on what how you want it done. But to answer your question, I know I went kind of off on a lot of this, but it's definitely worth it, and I do see you being successful in this. But again, it's going to take a leap of faith. It is going to take some of your out-of-pocket expenses, some of your money that you have saved. Hopefully you have some saved. If you don't, you need to save a couple grand, because it is a process, like I said, and you have to go through some duds sometimes before you find the right editor, because I had like maybe 2 or 3 editors, and there's still some things that I found, and that my audience, if those of you that have read my book, that it could be fixed, but it's not bad. It's I went over it thousands of times literally, but it is a whole creative process, and I love creating, and I am planning on writing another book for those of you that are tuning in eventually. So there will be a second book. I'm not sure exactly yet, and I can't discuss the details of it yet, but there is another book, spiritual in nature, that is coming out, and I'm very, very excited about that. So thank you once again for submitting your question. That was the T from Spirit. So let's get on to our next question. All right, my next question and last question for this week's episode is coming from Nina. Nina says, "Hi Raymond, I love watching your videos and your insight. I'm in a medical school, and even before this, I have had issues with developing friendships and love relationships. Currently, I have fallen in love with one of my classmates, but I am uncertain if I should fully commit. Question, I would like to know if I have found my soulmate, and will I find true long-lasting friendships? Praying for your recovery. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much. I know that you wrote this in around the time I had my post-op operation, but I am doing well, and thank you for your well wishes. Wow. So you are, you found someone who you feel like is your soulmate. That is very strong. I do feel like this person is definitely your soulmate. But keep in mind, there's a lot of controversy over, whether or not soulmates, if we can have one soulmate in this lifetime, or we can have more than one soulmate. I firmly believe that what my spirit guides have told me is that we can have more than one soulmate, which makes sense in this lifetime, which makes sense because when you factor in how old our souls are and how long and how many times we've reincarnated, depending on how old our soul is, and how many times we've reincarnated, we've had multiple lives. And even though some of our soul family is reincarnated with us here on earth, there's a spiritual family on the other side. And depending on who have you been with, there's different souls that you could have had a relationship with and that are in this lifetime. So I feel like this person and you definitely are soulmates from a previous time. And I keep seeing this being in European, and it would be somewhere around France. So again, I do past life readings, so this is coming in through very strongly. There's a connection to Paris and France and the French colony, the French lifestyle and culture with you both. And what I get here is that this relationship has a potential to work out, but right now I feel like your main focus needs to be on what Spirit is saying. It needs to be on your feelings, what you're feeling, and honoring that. And if that person is not responsive to you and doesn't feel the same way, or is trying to evade it, then kind of let it go for now. Focus on your schoolwork, your medical school work, and your goals. I truly firmly believe that soulmates, regardless of time or distance or time and place, they will always find a way to come together if it's meant to be. So I would definitely, be open about your feelings to this person. Sit down, talk with them if you haven't already. Let them know how you feel. And even if you are rejected in many ways, we have to go through some rejections, and that's a commonality in life that we go through that strengthens us and helps us realize that, we are very strong regardless of the rejection. It helps our soul grow. And you wouldn't be the first one to be rejected by anybody, but I think you are holding on to fears and suppressing those and just wondering of the what ifs, if this is your person, or are you just imagining it? And I don't feel like you're imagining it at all. So I would definitely find a way to maybe have some tea or have some, some kind of get together, sit down and really just kind of talk as friends, as people, and have a conversation, and then kind of, maybe let them know that you feel this crazy connection, in that you just want to know if they maybe feel the same way as you do. That kind of, pushes this out into the open. You let the cat, the cat out of the bag, whatever, the elephant, is out of the room, whatever the saying is. Yeah, you definitely need to do that. And I feel like you'll feel a lot better. I feel like this person may have feelings for someone else. And again, that's what I get, but they may also have feelings for you, but they're different. So again, I wouldn't, definitely, not honor what you're feeling, and definitely go forth with it. That's the tea from Spirit, the best advice that I can give you. So I want to thank all of you, Rays of Light. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Tea with Spirit. If you are listening to this show and you've received a reading here on the air of these questions that I answered, and you'd like to get some more information, you can book a private reading with me. And my website is listed here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. If you want to submit or write into the show, all you have to do is send an email to raymondguzman@hotmail.com. Again, that email is raymondguzman@hotmail.com. On the subject line of your email, include Tea with Spirit, And in the body of your email, include your question as well as your alias of how you would like to be referred to. And I select 5 individuals, 5 viewers, 5 rays of light from all over the world that write into the show every week. And I, you know, if you're chosen, I will read your question out on the air and give you the tea from Spirit. So I'm very, very excited. You know, the audience has grown with this show. There's a lot more people that are tuning in and just a lot of positive feedback. So I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for you out there that support me and that really love this, what I do, what I stand for, and the messages behind the spiritual work that I do. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. If you have not yet followed me on Facebook and Instagram, please do so. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and take the moment now to hit the red button on the bottom right corner of the video. It's the subscribe button, and also the notification bell icon on the bottom right hand corner of it, right next to the subscribe button. That way you'll be notified of any future videos that I put out. So blessings and love and light. Have an amazing, amazing day or evening wherever you are in the world.